Okay, welcome to the Paradigm Shift webinar. How to program your mind for success. And I'm going to show you a system for doing that. First of all, what I'm really going to explain, right, is what is a paradigm shift and how do we actually create that? So a paradigm shift, for me, is when we change our mental programming, our thinking patterns, so that we actually create a new reality, a new life, as it were. And how do we actually do that? Well, there's a whole process of steps that need to be included in this shift. And it starts, right, with your thinking. You've got to change the way you think. If you're going to create new beliefs, which is what a paradigm is all about. A paradigm is a pattern of beliefs, a pattern of thoughts, a pattern of behavior. And to be able to change it, we start with our thinking patterns. We start with how we think. And then we choose the beliefs that are going to match the future reality. That allows us to get into action and develop new habits. And as you do this, right, you improve the image you have of yourself. You start to change. You start to see yourself differently, feel that you're a different person. You basically enhance the image you have of yourself to match the vision of the future that you're holding. This is really about how we change a paradigm. When you can change a paradigm, when you've done that, then anything becomes possible. And just like Napoleon Hill writes in his classic bestseller, Think and Grow Rich, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You are capable of so much more than you're achieving right now. We all are. We have the potential to be, do, and have so much more. But it's a reflection of what we believe. Our achievements, our state of life, our state of mind, it's really about what we believe. And if we're going to achieve more, do more, we're going to have to change the beliefs that have got us here and replace the limiting beliefs that are holding us back from going there, wherever there is in your mind, wherever you want to be. So what I'm going to go over in the Paradigm Shift webinar are these steps. Starting with a goal card, how to write a goal card, how to use a goal card to support you to change your beliefs, change your paradigm, and change your results. We're going to look at the gaps that get created when you set big new goals. We're also going to dive deep into what paradigm beliefs are, why we have them, how we change them, what they need to look like to be able to support us to achieve the big goals, and how to use the auto-suggestion practice to be able to change those beliefs and program new paradigms into the mind. And then we're going to create habits for doing that, and also habits, new habits for achieving, doing more and achieving. Okay, so let's start with the goal card. And this is a device that I've spoken about before. It's a device that's based on Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, Chapter 2 on Desire, his principles for success, which he lays out in that chapter really clearly. It's also a technique that was created by and developed further by Bob Proctor, who, of course, was my mentor and studied Napoleon Hill's work for over 60 years. The theory is that when you write your goal on a card, particularly in the present tense, it programs your subconscious mind to accept a new idea. It programs your mind to actually lock into the goal that you are passing over to it, that you're thinking about, that you want to achieve. And your subconscious mind begins to accept that idea and then support you to take action to achieve it. So let me go through these steps on the screen very quickly, and then I'll go into them in more detail. So we're going to write the goal in the present tense on a small card, typically something small enough to really fit in your pocket. And you can download those from my website if you don't have any. We need to be specific about what we want. What do you actually want? Also include what you're going to give or do in return for what you want. And the method in which you intend to reach your goal. What exactly will you be doing to achieve this big goal? We also want to add emotion to it, right? We want to get some emotional intensity about our goal. And it's useful to set a date for when you want to achieve it. Now, choosing the right date can be tricky sometimes. but we need to have some date to give it some urgency so that we're not putting it off forever. So let's just go through these step by step, because these are the key components of a goal card that you need to understand and use well, use correctly if it's going to work. So why write the goal in the present tense? Well, what we're trying to do is we want to convince the subconscious mind to accept this new idea, the possibility of you achieving your goal. But the subconscious mind works in the present moment. It responds to an idea that's planted in its mind, in your mind, as if it already exists, as if you've already achieved it. So we don't want to be saying, I hope to achieve the goal, I want to achieve the goal. If everything works out, I will achieve it. We want to establish in our own mind that we actually have achieved it, even though there's no evidence for it. It's not so much a desire to achieve something, it's a declaration that we are capable of and that we truly believe that we have. And therefore, we already assume in our mind that we are where we want to be. We are imagining ourselves in the future having already achieved what it is we want to achieve. So what is that? And we've got to be specific. You know, sometimes people will say, well, my goal is to have financial freedom. I want to be wealthy. Yeah, and what does that look like to you? What does financial freedom really mean? Can you put a number on it? If there's something you want to be or do or have, can you describe it well enough that somebody, if they were to read your card, would know exactly what you're aiming for, what you're thinking about? So let's get some specifics in there. What exactly is that? And I'm going to give a couple of examples in a moment. So including what you will give or do in return and how you intend to reach your goal, sometimes they sound like the same thing. But effectively what we're doing here, we are saying who we are, what we do, and how we help other people. So who am I? What am I doing? And how does what I do help other people? Because essentially, if you're going to achieve something significant in your life, you're going to involve other people, you're going to be helping other people, you're going to be doing something. So what will you be doing in return for achieving your goal? If your goal is a financial goal, that's millionaire, a million, 5 million, something like that, what are you actually going to be doing to be able to earn that money, to receive that money? And in doing that, how would you be helping other people? What are you actually doing for others? Now, the point of adding emotion is that we need to get really connected to it. We need to feel like we want to achieve it. We need to feel what it's like when we've achieved it. So having that emotional intensity, that emotional connection is really important. It's almost like I've got to fall in love with my goal. If I'm not in love with my goal, I'm going to struggle to take the actions and do the things I need to do to achieve it. Do you love your goal enough? Do you love the vision you're holding in your mind enough to be able to do whatever it takes to get there? So when you are writing your goal, when you are connecting with it every day, as you will need to, do you have that feeling, that emotional connection to it that you really want it? So the date, when do you want it by? So as I said, you want to create some urgency that you're trying to achieve this in a set amount of time. Otherwise, it can be endless, it can be infinite, it can be forever. How long is it going to take? Now, the challenge is you can't be exactly sure how long it's going to take you to reach your goal. So give it a best shot. When would you like it to happen? If you were saying, starting from zero to earn $1 million or something, you probably wouldn't be choosing to do that next week, right? But you also wouldn't want to put it out in 50 years' time. So we're trying to find a tension point that gives you enough belief that it's possible in that amount of time, but it's not too far off that you don't need to start yet. Because if you don't start right away, you often never start. And people will say, well, what if I don't achieve the goal by the date I put on my card? Well, then we look at that. When you reach that point, we probably say that chose the wrong date, choose the date, push it out a bit further. But if you've made progress, then you're already ahead of game, you're already winning. You just choose another date. Okay. So an example of this might be then, if, for example, you are a property investor, perhaps the goal becomes that I want to be a millionaire property investor, earning a certain amount of money or owning a certain amount of assets. So I'm so happy and grateful is how we would always start off the card. I'm happy and grateful now that I am a millionaire property investor earning £50,000 a month. What are you going to be doing to do this? Another way of writing the card may be, I'm happy and grateful now that I'm a millionaire property investor owning £5 million worth of assets. What are the assets? What do you own? Do you own HMOs? Do you own buy-to-lets? Are you developing your own flats? What exactly gives you the income that you're seeking? What is that goal? And what's the purpose of the properties that you own? Is it commercial or residential? Is it providing comfortable living spaces for people or good office space for businesses? So you might say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a millionaire property developer owning X number of commercial properties that provide great working space for businesses. And that would tick your boxes. I give an example of my own that I'm working on at the moment, which is becoming an author. So I'm happy and grateful now that I am a best-selling millionaire author, writing, inspiring and empowering people by writing books. So what type of books? Personal development books. So let's put it this way. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm a millionaire author, writing personal development books that inspire, empower other people to achieve their goals. So that's ticking all these steps. Now, I'll answer some more questions about that at the end, but I want to move on to the next point, which is how to use the goal card. So the idea of writing a goal on a card is to get you present to your goal every day. You want to be thinking about this. You want to be connected to your goal, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to impress on our subconscious mind an idea that we've created with our conscious mind. So we've consciously dreamt up a goal, a dream, a vision, and we're now asking the subconscious mind to help us achieve it. But to get this idea, this goal into the subconscious mind, we've got to use repetition. We've got to be thinking about it every day. You can't just write it down, put it away somewhere, and hope it happens. We've got to be connected to it. We've got to be thinking about it. We've got to be present to it. We've got to feel that we want it. So the goal card, if you read it every day, and I always advise reading it in the morning, when you first wake up, and in the evening, before you go to sleep, if you are reading it every day, you are so present to it, your mind is starting to churn. It's starting to think about how you're going to achieve it. But it's also creating at a subconscious level a belief that it's possible. So read the card every day. Now, the gap I was talking about, this psychological gap. When you set yourself a really big goal, you are going to recognize that there's a physical gap between where you are and where you want to get to. There's a lot of work to do. But you're also going to be aware of a psychological gap. You're going to actually have these fears, doubts, worries, uncertainty, limiting beliefs show up in your mind. And this is what we're calling the paradigm, right? Paradigm being a collection of thoughts, of beliefs. But if you do not have the right paradigm in your subconscious mind for achieving the goal, what your mind is going to feed back to you is doubt, uncertainty. It's going to pretty much say, I'm not sure I can do this. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not good enough. It's going to tell you why you can't achieve your goal, why there's a gap here, and how big the gap is. And this is where we have to create new beliefs, because when we start out and set a big goal, we do not have the beliefs necessary to achieve it, or we would already be there, or we would know how to get there. We wouldn't have these doubts. So if you have doubts about, any doubts about how you're going to achieve your goal, whether you can, that's because you don't have the belief paradigm that you need to achieve it. This is what I'm going to show you how to create, because most people, if they set a big enough goal, they do not have the beliefs they need to be able to achieve it. So I'm going to use the stick person, which you've seen previously. For those of you that have been to my seminars, my live seminars, you've seen this before. If this is the first time you're seeing it, you can watch other seminars on my YouTube channel to explain what this is. But basically the stick person that you're seeing here is a visual representation of your mind, with both the conscious and the subconscious mind working together to control you, your body, who you are, to do what you need to do. So with our conscious mind, we think about what we want, we set these goals. The subconscious mind fears the goals we set, which is a little bit strange, but you'll recognize this. You'll feel fear and doubt. And it's that conflict in the mind, as if you're in two minds, right? It's that conflict that actually stops you from taking action, that makes you procrastinate, that makes you put things off. It's the conflict between the conscious and the subconscious mind having two opposing ideas that paralyzes us from taking action. So conscious mind, this is what we dream with. This is what we create our goals with. This is how we create a vision for our life. We just dream up the future with our conscious thinking mind. But when you do that, the subconscious mind actually checks to see if we believe in the dream or the goal, what we feel about it. And if it disagrees, then you're not going to do it, because effectively the subconscious is what controls what we do. So it's really important just to get present to this and to understand this, that when you're creating a goal, when you're creating a vision for your life, and you're dreaming about what you want, you're thinking consciously. But your beliefs live at a subconscious level. And it's what you believe and what you feel about your dream and your goal that determines whether you can take action on it. So always remember that it's your subconscious mind that controls what you do, not you. So what are we going to do about that? I just want to put this in another visual so that you can maybe see it more easily. When we're talking about the paradigm, those collection of beliefs, the paradigm controls your behavior, your action, right? And it's what you do, your action and your behavior, that produces your results. So if you're not getting the results you want, what happens is most people try to change their behavior. They try to force themselves to do something different, do something more, do something better. But we're forcing ourselves to do it because we don't have the belief or the paradigm that allows us to do it. And this is where we get into challenges, into struggle. Life becomes difficult and a struggle because we don't have the belief and the paradigm that allows us to easily take the action to get the new results. So we've really got to start thinking about this. We've got to use our conscious mind to think differently if we're going to change our behavior and our results. So, yep, all about the paradigm. So let's look at these beliefs. How do we do this? What do we need to do to create the beliefs that are going to support us to be able to achieve the goals? So remember, with your conscious mind, you set your goal, but it's in the subconscious that we build the belief. It's no good saying to yourself, yeah, I believe I can do this. I believe I'm capable. I believe I'm ready. That's you consciously saying it, not really believing it on a subconscious level. And you'll know if you believe it because you'll be able to take action, and you'll be willing to take action rather than scared of it or uncertain or confused. When you have the belief, you have clarity, certainty, and a desire to take action. If you're struggling to take action, you don't have the belief yet. So how do we do this then? We've got to install a new belief into the subconscious through repetition of thinking, through repetition of imagining. And what we really need to be able to do is we've got to keep doing the repetition of programming the subconscious until we believe. It's not enough to do it for a short amount of time. You've got to keep doing the practices, which I'm going to show you next, until the belief gets built. And this is a challenge. You know, someone was saying to me recently that they've been trying to use this formula, these practices, and it wasn't working. They weren't making progress because they finally realized They hadn't built the belief, and they kept stopping before they believed they were capable, believed they were ready, believed they were able. They kept stopping, yeah, because the subconscious paradigm was stopping them. It was telling them it wasn't working. It was blocking them from building the belief and taking action. So we're giving instructions to our subconscious mind with our conscious thinking mind. We are instructing our subconscious to create a belief, to create a paradigm, to allow us to achieve the goal, to support us to take action. We program our mind. You know, we actually start programming our mind when we are little kids, or other people around us program our mind for us as well. They program the beliefs into a subconscious level that control us, and it is a control mechanism. They control us for the rest of our life. But we have the right, the power, the ability to instruct the subconscious to create new beliefs and new paradigms, which is what I'm going to show you. We do it. Now, we're going to use, the terminology autosuggestion, which I'm borrowing from Napoleon Hill and Think and Grow Rich, right? It's self-talk. It's giving yourself suggestions. It's suggesting a new idea to your subconscious mind. And what we start with effectively is choose a belief that matches the goal. Choose a belief that matches your dream. Hold on to that idea, that thought, and with repetition of a process, you pass the idea into the subconscious mind until it accepts it and then starts to get to work on building the belief. And the subconscious will accept new ideas. It will accept your goals if you present them in the right way. The subconscious mind can't reject what you're asking it or directing it to do. It just takes a while to get clear what it is and begin the process. And it's in that time frame of adjusting that people often give up. They think, oh, this isn't working, it's not going to happen, I don't think I'm doing it right. And they stop before the subconscious mind has accepted the idea. So how do we use autosuggestion? Now, if you've seen my seminars, you know I talk about these 4 phases of creation that everybody uses, just that we don't use them consciously. But this is what we use to create anything in our life. The 4 phases are this: visual, mental, emotional, and physical. So what I mean by that is visual is using imagination to picture your vision, to picture your goal, to see the future as the way you want it. Use your imagination. Mental is using our voice, our thoughts, to affirm what we want. We're really affirming the picture. We're holding a picture, we're dreaming about the future, and we are affirming to ourselves that that's what we want. And we'll use sometimes, affirmations, mantras, particular phrases to help pass the idea into the subconscious mind. Emotional is what we call seeding of feeling. It's a little bit, like planting seeds in the ground. What we're doing here is we're planting thoughts into the subconscious mind with emotion, with feeling. Like I said earlier, you've got to connect emotionally to your goal, to your future. You've got to create that emotional feeling of desire for your goal, because the subconscious mind actually pays attention to the intensity of your emotions, your desire for it. If you really want something, you've got the attention of the subconscious mind. If you're just playing with it, thinking about it, come back to me later when you've really made your mind up and made the decision. So emotion is important. We've got to be emotionally connected with the goal. We've got to want it enough. We've got to believe it's possible. Now we're getting the attention of the subconscious mind. And at this point, it's important to actually do something, even if it's uncomfortable, which it will be in the beginning. We've got to begin to take a little bit of action. I was talking to someone recently who really wants to get very healthy, wants to have a very strong, fit body and mind, and recognizes that something he's going to be doing is going to the gym. And he's probably going to need to go in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. But right now, he's not been in the gym for months. He's not going to be able to take the action of going to the gym 5 days a week. He won't be able to do that. It's too much. But to begin to take a little bit of action for him would look like just going in once a week. just reacquainting himself with the gym. Go visit it, go sign up, maybe take a class. But don't try to do it all at once. Start to take little steps, action steps, that are going to lead you to where you want to go. Imagination. I love this quote from Napoleon Hill because this is how it all works. Imagination. We're going to have to be imagining our goal, our dream. We're going to have to use the power of imagination. And he says in this quote, right, imagination is the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Why? Because it's with our imagination that we create our world. Everything is created twice, once in someone's imagination and then once in the physical reality. So with the analogy of planting an idea in the mind or planting seeds in the ground, when we plant a seed in the ground, we imagine the crop that's going to grow. We have trust, we have faith that seeds turn into crops. We don't quite have so much trust and faith and belief that our ideas are going to turn into reality, but it's the same thing. We imagine the future, we think about it, we name it, we describe it, and with our imagination, description, our words, our thoughts, our feelings, we plant the idea into the subconscious. But we've got to keep doing it over and over. It's not enough just to plant the idea once, like it is a seed. We have to keep planting this idea into the mind. But if we use our imagination, the power of imagination will turn our thoughts into beliefs and our beliefs into actions. Imagination is what turns thoughts into beliefs, and beliefs turn into action. So I've got this visual representation of what's going on, this thinking process, which I like to share because it's a very powerful way of thinking about this. If you are familiar with yoga or meditation, you will recognize that the figure on the side of the screen there is someone doing a meditation, and you may be familiar with the concept of yoga chakras, energy points in the body. What I've recognized is that these energy points in the body actually relate directly to the process of thinking that we use to create beliefs, create paradigms, and manifest goals. So very simply, you'll see the color coding on the figure relates to the steps that I want you to understand. So where do ideas come from? Why do we have a dream? Why do we have a goal? An idea enters our mind, whether we've seen something out there in the world, other people doing something, or we've just had an idea about we want our life to be different and better. We dream it. Dream enters the mind. If we like the idea, we start to picture it. We envision it. We imagine. And that's where, we're using what we call the sixth chakra, the third eye. Between the two physical eyes, there is effectively an inner eye, imagination, the eye of imagination in which we visualize our dreams, our future. So when you use imagination, you're picturing the future as you want it to be. And if you like what you're picturing, you start to think about it. You start to speak to yourself about it. You start to describe the picture, either silently or sometimes out loud, or you might write it, you might speak it and share it. But you're using the power of the voice, which is the throat chakra. You're beginning to speak your goal, your dream into reality. And as you imagine it and speak it or think it, the idea starts to move down the body into the heart, which is where we feel. It's our emotional center. We're talking about getting emotionally connected to your goal. You start to feel it. You start to feel excited about it. You start to feel enthusiasm, passion. You're beginning to feel that this is what you want. And when that happens, when you're picturing it, thinking it, and really feeling it, you want to take action. But at this point, the yellow color, which is representing the solar plexus, kind of like at the stomach level, how do you feel physically about this goal? You might feel emotionally connected to it and desiring it, but do you feel that you can do it? Do you feel it in your gut that it's yours, that you can have it? And at this point, you will feel some physical sensation. You'll feel either anxiety and fear, or excitement and energy, positive energy. If you have excitement, enthusiasm, and positive energy, you're ready to take action and make your goal a reality. But for most people, if their goal is big enough, what they're going to feel at the solar plexus level is fear, anxiety, which they think of as doubt, uncertainty, worry. And they start to think they can't do it. And those thoughts are dangerous at this point because it's what stops us. It stops most people. If we start to doubt and think we can't do it, we're not capable, we don't try. But the point here is the solar plexus is really the doorway to your subconscious mind. This is where we need to plant the idea, the dream, the goal. We've got to plant it at this level. So how do I get it past this guard on the door if I'm feeling anxious and fearful? Well, it's simply repetition, right? We keep doing the same process until the doorway opens, until the belief starts to form, until we start to feel that it's possible. We keep using the process of repetition until the subconscious mind accepts the idea. Remember I said the subconscious mind must accept any idea that's presented to it with imagery and emotion. It must accept it. It can't reject it. But in the beginning, it blocks it because it doesn't recognize the idea. Not because it's not possible, it's just it doesn't recognize what you are asking it to do. So the process becomes a repetition of imagining, thinking, speaking, feeling, and we do this every day. We want to create a practice of programming the subconscious mind through visual, mental, and emotional stimulation until that doorway in the solar plexus opens and the subconscious mind gets the idea. It gets what you're showing it and telling it, and it begins to build a belief that will allow you to take action and cause your dream to become a reality. See, the subconscious mind works for us. But we have to have patience. We have to understand how to instruct it. We have to understand how to program a new set of beliefs at the subconscious level. This is a visual way of understanding how to do it. You know, I can give you the technical terms. I can write out a description for you. If you picture this going through your mind in stages, sometimes it's easier to do the work, to do the practice of visualization, affirmation, and seeding your goal into your subconscious mind. Now, when you do that, you've got to start taking action, like I said before. You've got to start creating new habits. And we call this integration of belief with behavior. That is, as you're building your belief, you want to actually start taking action that demonstrates you do believe, even if you don't. You can take action that demonstrates you believe you can do this. So let's just take the example of the person going to the gym. Just by going to the gym, maybe doing an exercise routine, maybe some weightlifting, maybe some swimming. They're demonstrating that they believe that by going to the gym, they will achieve their goal of being healthy. But you don't have to be able to do it all at once. You just have to be able to take one step at a time until the beliefs build enough for you to take more action and get more results. So it's important to be willing to create new habits. It's difficult to create new habits at times, depending on what you're doing. But it's important to have this idea in your mind, to know that you've got to form the habit of doing things that you don't like to do. This quote comes from a small book by an author called Albert Gray, who wrote about the principles of success. And he recognized that all successful people actually do this. They form the habit of doing things they don't like doing, because in the beginning, you've got to do something new that you've probably never done before that you won't like. You'll feel like you don't want to do it. You don't like that. But if you're willing to do something you don't like because it leads you to something you really want, that's a game changer. That's what helps create the new paradigm as well. Taking action when you don't feel like it, when you're uncomfortable. So what's a way of reminding yourself to do that, to be able to do that? Well, I like to use this phrase, think with the end in mind. I think Stephen Covey probably used that as well. You've got to picture where you're going. You've got to picture your destination. You've got to keep your goal in your mind, your dream in your mind. You've got to keep a picture of it there. because you want to be thinking from there, not thinking from where you are today, trying to get there. You wake up today and your life's the same. You're wondering if you're ever going to get to where you want to get to. No, you wake up and you picture the future and you think from there, how do I get here? Or even ask yourself, how did I get here? Imagine that you already are there. You've got to think with the end in mind, not be thinking from the present moment. We've already created the present. We're focused on creating the future, which means we've got to put our mind in the future and think from there. Now, I call that the mind view, because there's always a picture coming onto the screen of your mind. There's always a view in your mind. You're seeing something. But what we need to be doing is we need to be remembering that we're picturing the future, not the present. So I use these 4 questions which relate to the 4 phases of creation: visual, mental, emotional, physical. What's my picture right now? What am I picturing? Am I picturing the life I've got or the future that I want? What am I thinking right now? Am I thinking about how I can't do something? Am I thinking about my future, my goal, my dream, and how I'm going to get there? How do I feel? Do I feel afraid, anxious, uncertain, full of doubt? Or am I feeling excited and enthusiastic about moving towards my goal? And if I am, what am I doing today? What action can I take today that will move me closer to it? If you can remember to think that way, you're constantly bringing your attention back to the goal into the future, which is how you build the repetition of planting the idea in the subconscious. And the goal card is a practical technique for doing that. When you are reading your goal card every day, if you're reading it in the morning, reading it in the evening, when you're using the goal card, it's instantly bringing the picture of your goal into your mind, because that's what it's designed to do. It reminds you what you're working towards. It reminds you that you're meant to be programming your subconscious. It reminds you to take action towards it. Just to stay connected to it, to have that feeling. It helps you find that feeling, that emotional connection as well. So the goal card is a simple technique, very simple really, for pulling all of this together. To remind you of your goal, because strangely enough, we will sometimes forget what we're working towards. To remind you to practice auto-suggestion, to program new paradigms and beliefs into your subconscious mind. To remind you that you should be asking how you're going to get there. And to remind you that you could be taking action today to move you closer to your goals. Okay, so what I suggest that you always do is create a routine, a daily routine based on auto-suggestion. If you're going to achieve your goal, you need to be working on it every day. You need to have some kind of practice put in place where you go through the steps in this system, so that you're doing it over and over, the repetition that's essential to build the belief that allows you to take action to create the dream and achieve the goals. So this is typically what I suggest you do, is you read the goal card every day. Sometimes maybe write out the goal as well, just so that you are connecting through movement of writing it with the memory of the goal itself. Visualize it. Take some minutes, maybe only 5 minutes, just to visualize the future that you want to realize, that you want to achieve. Affirm your belief. Affirm with your thoughts, silently, or speak it aloud, sometimes in the mirror. That's a good thing to do. So thinking either silently or aloud, affirming your belief in your goal, speaking it, and then looking to take some kind of action. So I definitely recommend that you put in an auto-suggestion practice in the morning when you wake up, and or last thing at night before you go to sleep, because as you're sleeping, as you're going to sleep, you're actually opening the mind to the subconscious, because when we're asleep, the subconscious is controlling our mind 100%. So if the last thing you're thinking about is your goal before you drop off to sleep, you are seeding that idea into the subconscious when it's actually most receptive, just as you're falling asleep. So I summarize that with the idea of say it, see it, say it, do it. So see it, imagine, say it, think it, do it, physical, with feeling. A little bit like the actors technique, right? Let's do this with feeling this time. And it could be as simple as that, just to remind you. Read the goal card and remind yourself that you are programming your subconscious mind to create the beliefs and paradigms to support you to achieve your goal. And if you go through that process every day until you build the belief, it's going to happen. Because once the subconscious mind accepts the idea and it gets to work on building the belief, it will feed ideas back to you. It will start to suggest what you should do next. So you don't have to force it. Your subconscious mind actually begins to support you to take action. It's almost like it taps you on the shoulder sometimes and reminds you to do the work and to act on the ideas that are coming into your mind about how you'll achieve it. And when that happens, that's a really beautiful state to get into. It's a realization that your subconscious has accepted the idea. It is causing you to begin to believe, and it's actually encouraging you to take action. And that's always what happens. The subconscious mind feeds you ideas via your intuition, if you're listening, and suggests what to do. Okay, so that is the process of using autosuggestion to program new paradigms into your mind to create this paradigm shift from the reality you're living right now to the reality that you are imagining that you want to be. If you do the work, it will work. Okay. So I typically suggest at this point that if you want to practice this, that you look at the material that I'm going to be sending you. And for those of you watching this on YouTube later, you can find the link below. But for those of you that registered for the webinar, you will receive some information, some sheets, some PDFs about how to apply autosuggestion, so you don't go home tonight and think, I can't remember all this, I'm not sure how to do it. This is too much. You'll be able to look at the written descriptions about this process so that you can follow it. If you really want to, I invite you to continue the conversation by actually booking a call with me, a session, a free session actually right now for those on the webinar, just to go over your mindset, your goals, and help you with that goal card if you'd like to do that. And you can do that on the calendar link below. And for those of you that know about thinking into results because you heard about it probably at one of the seminars, if you think that's something you might be interested in, then I would invite you to schedule a private conversation with me at some point in the future if you think that I can help you achieve your goals. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for listening. I'm going to do a Q&A now, but for now, I'm actually going to stop the recording and stop sharing the screen and then move to that.